And the finals MVP is going to be Cat. Let's talk about it now on King's Corner. Welcome back to King's Corner. I'm your host, Christian King, and on today's episode, we are going over Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Wow, was last night an awesome game. I got to give a round of applause to the NBA. For years, I've been saying that the NBA Finals hasn't felt like the NBA Finals. It just felt like another series. And they've added the championship trophy, or better known as the Larry O'Brien trophy, painted onto the court on the center logo, and it looks phenomenal. It actually felt like a high-stage basketball game again, and I was loving every second of it. Both of these teams wanted it bad. I told you guys I thought the Spurs would win, and after the first half, I still thought that way. But you know what it was that ended up winning the Knicks the game? They were the more gritty team, they were the more experienced team, and they were the more disciplined team. The Spurs are very young, and I told you guys yesterday, this Spurs team is a lot more than just Wembanyama, and it showed. Wemby wasn't even their best player last night. If anybody who watched that game will tell you, Dylan Harper was the best player in the Spurs. The Spurs, I will say, they got away with it in the first half. The fact that game was only a 5-point lead at halftime is kind of sad. Seeing as which the Knicks only had one free throw to the Spurs 17. Usually, I'm not one to say that the refs are abysmal or the refs are horrible, but the Knicks were getting tackled out there, and the refs were swallowing their whistles. I have never seen anything like that. I've always been a big Scott Foster hater. I can't stand the guy. I've hated him all the way back since at least 2016. I think he cost CP3 some championships. I know that's hard to say, CP3 championships, but I think CP3 could have gotten to a finals if it wasn't for Scott Foster. I've hated that guy for a decade. But he was trying to cost the Knicks last night, but to the Knicks' credit, they just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. But the thing that caught me by surprise was you would have thought Karl Anthony Towns wasn't going to be as great as he was, but he was the Knicks' best player. You would have thought Jalen Brunson was going to be the catalyst of that Knicks win, and he had his moments, but he was 5 of 15 in the first half. Jalen Brunson got hurt twice, hurt his right knee, hurt his ankle. He went through adversity. He was only 11 of 30 on the night, and I know some are going to say, well, why did he take 30 shots? That's way too many shots. But it's Jalen Brunson. You're going to live with the shots that he takes because more likely than not, he's going to make them. Even though he missed 19 last night, he still had 30. And he wasn't getting his usual whistle. But my big takeaway from last night was Jalen Brunson's a great help, and the Knicks need him to win. But he's not the Knicks' number one need in order to win. There was a guy who was doing it on both sides of the court that I couldn't believe was doing it on both sides of the floor. Karl Anthony Towns last night was tremendous. He was the best big man on the floor. He was the best playmaker. He wasn't even that great at shooting. I'm not even sure he made a three-pointer last night. But Karl Anthony Towns just kept going and going and going. And anytime Wemby wasn't on him, he was going right to the paint. And if Wemby was on him, he was usually getting what he wanted. Somebody tweeted last night on X. They said, wow, Wemby's Cat's food for Wemby, but if I could tell they weren't really watching the game. Wemby was 1 of 10 on Cat. Cat only let him make one shot. Wemby had 26 points last night, but he only had that all through free throws. Wemby couldn't hit a shot. Wemby wasn't doing great last night. He had one good three-pointer in the fourth quarter, but outside of that, can you really name a very monumental bucket by Wemby? The Knicks were tremendous last night on defense. I told you I expected them to have some rust coming out of the 9-day break that they had. And there was rust on the offensive side, but their defense kept them in it. They kept fighting. They kept going. And they stole a game in San Antonio that I thought they'd steal in game 2. I mean, I told you guys, I think Knicks in 5. I will say I'm going to go up to Knicks in 6 now. I think we're in for a fun series. I could see it going 7, but I think we're in for our best NBA Finals in a long time. I know last year's went to 7 games, but it didn't feel like a 7-game series. We all knew by the end of the series that the Pacers were going to win it. And this year, it's just, I'm loving it. I haven't been this intrigued in basketball in a long time. And I was glued to the screen last night. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I mean, my girlfriend was even going, wow, you're really into it. Because usually when basketball's on, it's usually just in the background. I mean, I'll tune in and I'll watch key moments, but I won't. But last night I was just, I couldn't take my eyes off of it, and I loved every second of it. And Sadly, Friday night I will not be able to watch most of the first quarter of game 2. I'll record the game so I can go back and watch it and give you guys a proper analysis Monday. And we'll give our preview tomorrow. But this is amazing. I love the NBA Finals this year. The NBA finally listened, and I give Adam Silver a lot of slack on a lot of things. I don't agree with a lot of what he's done. I believe a lot of the issues the NBA has today wouldn't have happened under David Stern. But I will say, Adam Silver's starting to listen a little more to the fans. The only thing I wish he'd attack is the flopping. Now, I was somebody who, after last series, Spurs, Thunder, I was really against the Thunder because I thought they overflopped. But I'll tell you, last night, I have a guy that you guys will see come on this podcast on a future date. He's a former co-host of mine on my podcast, Dice, if any of you have watched that. But his name's Isaiah, and he's a big basketball guy. Knows more basketball than I do. And he's actually not opposed to flopping as much as I am. And a reason he says it is you got to get a call somehow. And I saw what he was talking about last night. I mean, Jalen Brunson was getting tackled doing layups, and they weren't calling fouls. And I was like, what are we doing? This is basketball, not football. Now, I will also say, Wemby's a little bit of he's getting to the dirty territory. He's almost on that Draymond Green territory for me. He does some things where I'm like, that's dirty. And there's a fine line between dirty and aggression, and he likes to stay right at that line. And I'll tell you, it's going to be a great series because of it. He's just so competitive, but the Knicks want it so bad. And I was telling another one of my friends, who you guys will also see on this podcast. His name's Caleb. He was a former co-host of mine on To Be Continued, and we might do an episode in the future of that. But he will be coming on here as my baseball analyst. He hates. It's not even that he hates the Knicks. It's he doesn't know how much the Knicks mean in New York City. He's a Yankees fan, so when he saw this thing that it said Jalen Brunson, if he wins, is going to be the king of New York, he didn't want to believe it. But I'm trying to tell him, New York City is not a baseball city. It's a basketball city. It's not a football city. It's a basketball city. That city, if Jalen Brunson wins, will crown him as the king of New York for now, forever. Even if Aaron Judge or Jackson Dart or anybody in New York wins a championship, it will not mean as much as if the Knicks this year win the championship. And if you're a Knicks fan, after last night, you got to be ecstatic because you guys weren't even making your shots and you won that game. And Spurs fans can also say that. But from what I saw last night, I think the Knicks have the edge coaching. I think the Knicks have the edge talent-wise. The only thing that the Spurs have that the Knicks don't is a 7'5" defensive freak. And Wemby was great defensively last night. Just offensive-wise, he wasn't making his shots. And you could see the Spurs were trying to get into it a little too much, and I think the Knicks were actually more prepared for the moment than people would have given them credit for. And I think that's where the veteran leadership has come in. And you guys got to remember, this is Mike Brown's second finals. His first one was in 2007. Well, second one as a head coach. His first one was in 2007. He got swept to the Spurs. Well, he was LeBron's head coach. And I think that was a learning experience for him because he learned what he had to do in order to win. And I think now he's ready. And you saw it last night. It was beautiful. But let me know what your guys' thoughts of game 1 of the NBA Finals was. Who do you guys have winning the rest of the series? What were your takeaways? Do you agree, disagree with what I say? But I would love to hear from you guys, please. Anyway, please like, please subscribe. And until tomorrow, I'll see you guys later. Thank you. Bye.